Has the momentum shifted now? And Queensland, are they in favour now over the Blues or not?
Well, game 1, game 2, you don't know which one you want. Like, the series was on the line, and I reckon the game is on a nice edge. I think Queensland are going to really channel what they did in the first half and what they got to fix for the second half, and they would have got a lot of confidence out of game 2. New South Wales would have confidence.
New South Wales would have got confidence out of the second half of game 2.
Absolutely, they would.
I think when you look at the two teams on paper, and especially on the edges, New South Wales and the back five, New South Wales do have an advantage. They just do. But I truly believe almost that the biggest storyline in the build-up to this decider, and also it will follow, is the coaching storyline. Because on one side of the equation, we have Billy Slater, who has lost the last 2 series, who probably got shown up with some of his selections for game 1. He's fought back, he's got him back into the series, but the fact of the matter is you can't lose 3 Origin series in a row and expect to be safe. On the other side of the coin, you've got Laurie, who for years was probably unfairly tarnished with the fact that he came up against that great Queensland team. He's came back for redemption. He picked an outstanding side for game 1. Their discipline and their quality of play let them down in game 2. It just did. And yet they can't afford to lose this series. I think the biggest pressure is on both coaches.
Who's under more pressure out of them two?
Oh, I think Billy Slater is for sure, given he's been in the hot seat for a couple of years now.
Why?
He just, Gordy, to me, when I look at Bill, I don't see a smile on his face anymore. He doesn't look like a coach who's enjoying his coaching. Madge threw him under some pressure last year. There was the glass houses comment, and then when Billy locked away the media, Madge came out and said, New South Wales is the people's team. And it ultimately ended up with Billy losing the series. I just don't know whether Billy looks like he's a coach that's enjoying it. And I have no mail here, Gordon, and I have no intuition other than the fact that in my head I'm thinking, after this series, win, lose or draw, it just would not shock me if Billy said, you know what, I've had enough.
I do think that
I don't think Billy will walk away.
Billy showed great courage. He made a mistake with the Paul Green reference before game 2, right? But where he showed courage was on the day of the game. He called Paul Green's family, and he apologised, and then he got down to business. And there's no question in the world that inspired his team, because they played with inspiration. And then after the game, even after the game, when Cameron Munster was interviewed, he was that fired up by it. He couldn't hold his language on TV. But it just showed that had been a driving force leading into that game.
Billy was on the show the first 2 games, and he was on Channel 9 as well. And if you'd noticed, he didn't come on here last night, and he wasn't on Channel 9. So I don't know if that sort of leans into his under pressure or not, or he's bunkering down, you know, because he normally gives so much. He normally gives so much.
I reckon it's the latter. I reckon before the ball was kicked, if you wrote down both teams, who do you think would have won the series? Who was favourite?
New South Wales.
So they're under more pressure than Queensland, and I've never seen Billy Slater walk away from a challenge.
He looks physically drained in Perth.
It does drain you, mate. I've watched Laurie Daly walking here. I've watched Kevy Walters. I've watched Greg Alexander.
I've watched Brad Fittler. Every person that gets put into that hot seat, it drains them, mate.
There's no question in the world. Because it's got 2 states sitting there hoping and praying that their state wins, that their team wins.
It's high pressure, and the players and coaches feel it. Maroons Boltar, Gemmet Shibasaki has revealed how a heart-to-heart from Patrick Carrigan sparked his journey back into the NRL.
6 months ago, 4 months ago, I didn't have a contract. I was just scraping through, trying to fight my way through the pre-season, just trying to get fit for the cup season, really. So I'm on the development deal, so obviously I've still got a lot to prove. And I was pretty happy with just working and playing footy, like, you know what I mean? Like that sort of lifestyle, I was just pretty content with that. But then Paddy and that came to Townsville versus the Cowboys and had a yarn to them, and that sort of just lit the fire again, and just wake up to yourself sort of thing. And, and it was just like, because me and Paddy are really close, so he's just like, he can tell me those sort of things, and he's like, just come back for another run, just come for a change, come live with me if you want, and stuff like that. So he's asking for fuel money.
It's an amazing story, the fairy tale of Game 3. Shibasaki from nowhere has put himself in a position to play State of Origin Rugby League, where only probably 6 to 8 months ago he would have thought he was no chance. But what an opportunity it is for him, Gordy.
Yeah, playing for the Townsville Blackhawks there in the Queensland Cup, and as I said, he just needed something to prompt him that he's that he's got another crack. I think he was a Bronco under 20. He played pretty good, and then, he just went away, and for some reason or another, and I reckon it was hard work. Here he is playing for the Townsville Blackhawks, and then they signed with South Sydney. Maybe he got a sniff again, and maybe thought I'd have one more crack at it. And he worked really hard. And to all those young kids out there that think that they're on the scrap heap, I reckon it's a great lesson for him.
He was fantastic against the Warriors on the weekend. I still found it an amazing call, but it shows you the faith that Billy Slater obviously has in him, because he's marking up against Stephen Crichton, the best centre in the game, the guy that can turn it on in the blink of an eye.
Sure can.
And he can turn the game, as he almost did again in game 2.
Gordy, I want to ask you this. He's a victory for durability and desire.
Yep.
I get that. But early release, Broncos 19,
Yep.
told he can go. Told he can go from Newcastle in 2021. Told he can go from North Queensland Cowboys in 2023.
Yep.
Plays 2 games for South last year,
Yep.
and they don't need him anymore. He then goes and plays a bit of rugby in the middle of it all. You look at the great centres of Queensland, Gordy, Greg Inglis, Gene Miles,
Mal Meninga, Chris
Mal
Close,
Meninga, Steve
Dustin
Reynolds.
Hodge,
I question to you, is this Shibasaki up to the standard of State of Origin?
I'll tell you something, he doesn't have to be any of those guys. He's got to go out there and make his tackles and runs. If we win or lose, it's not going to be because of Gemmet Shibasaki. He's going to go out there and he's got to play his role. If we're putting pressure, if Queensland are looking at him to save this series, we're barking up the wrong tree. But that young kid getting his chance to pull on that jersey and do his job, he'll make us
You're
perfect.
doing it again, dog. You're doing it again because you go back over the history of Origin.
It's fact.
It is a fact that those clubs let him go. But if you go back over the history of Origin, Queensland have done it time and again. 95, the great 95 story where they went in without all the ARL Super League players, and they did the unthinkable. They did it in 2020. If Billy's got the faith in him, well then surely.
You can't help yourself.
Well, he's played 45 games in 7 years of NRL. So I'm trying not to be disrespectful. I'm just merely asking you, Gordon, there's a level in State of Origin, and it's an elite level.
How old is he?
26, I think he is.
I'll give you a little stat. A bloke played at 35 his first game. What was his name?
Got me.
Arthur Beaton. There you go. So it doesn't matter. He's pulling on a jersey.
Yeah, but Arthur Beaton's Arthur
No, but you... listen, okay, the point is he's playing for us. Worry about your team. He'll be okay. He'll be okay.
All right.
You're really concerned, but aren't you? Bulldog?
Well, you throw in there Toya, he's played 3 games.
Yeah.
Is that an
You know
area
what?
that
Look,
lose
that
He
is-
could be right after this. I know we're having a bit
That
of
is
fun
where
here.
they've got
Well, he's got to give me a
But-
written apology if I'm right.
What's that?
Oh, you heard me.
He wants a written apology if you're wrong. But I'm hesitant because of history and because of seeing these unknowns or players come from nowhere and deliver on the biggest stage of all and be heroes for Queensland. You know, Shibasaki's a surprise, but I've picked him no, but I'm not going to criticise him or critique him.
Ben Ikin was 18.
Yeah.
No one, the coach didn't know who he was, and he went out there. He scored a try.
They're our favourite players.
Everything I've said is fact.
Nate Miles probably wouldn't have played one game for New South Wales. He played 30 for us and 30 amazing games.